to now introduce our featured speaker. Our featured speaker is an attorney at law and a barrister at the United Kingdom, also a member of the Honourable Society of Gray's Inn of Court in London. Apart from that, he is a former long jumper, a national long jump champion, a former British University long jump champion, a former Scottish University long jump champion, and a 2015 National Open Scholarship recipient for St. Mary's College. If it's one thing Dwayne Bravo got right, he repeated champion, 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 because our champion tonight is our featured speaker, Mr. Che Richards.
Good evening, everyone. Before I start my speech, there's some special guests in the audience that we need to acknowledge. So the president of the entry is Mr. Ephraim Serrat, Mr. David Roberts, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Sport and Community Development, Mr. Joseph Ishmael Khan, Chairman of the National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago, other board members, executives, and senior management, Mr. Hasley Crawford, our 1976 Olympic gold medalist and sport ambassador, Mr. Larry Romani, Chairman, Sports Company of Trinidad and Tobago, Ms. Diane Henderson, President of the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee, Mr. Dr. Terry Ali, Chairman of First Edition Sports Foundation, other corporate sponsors, coaches, club officials, technical officials, athletes, parents, other specially invited guests, members of the media, and mentors who are in the audience today. Ladies and gentlemen, not often am I given the opportunity to make a speech before such a well-dressed audience. So, in preparing my speech this evening, I told myself, Che, you're a humble guy. You don't go around talking about your accomplishments or accolades. So I told myself, you know what? I'm going to take off my humility cap for just 30 seconds and reintroduce myself. So, ladies and gentlemen, please indulge me. So, my name is Che Richards, and other than the physical features you see in front of you, I'm real smart. I went to St. Mary's College, jumped from Form 2 to Form 4. I got an open scholarship in languages, decided to take it up to go to the UK to study law instead of taking a sports scholarship to go to the US. A decision I do not regret one day. And I never went lessons. So this is a testament to all the student athletes in the mids. You don't really need to go lessons to do well. And I also want to mention that, I had to work hard like Big Stone in order to get where I'm at. So for that, we give thanks. So back to the regular scheduled speech now. So the theme for this year's award ceremony is commitment to excellence in action. I've never been good at maths, but I want to make that theme into an equation. And it goes like this. Commitment to faith plus action grounded in love equals excellence. I think sometimes as athletes or individuals, we get caught up in the commitment to the goal, which is a weird statement to make because you need to be committed to the goal. But you need to be committed to the goal, you need to do the extra rep, do the extra set. However, I believe that we should be committed to faith instead of committed to the goal. Put in the work, yes, but also be consistent in your belief that when you put in the work, despite any obstacle, you will win. We must train ourselves in having faith in things we cannot yet see, knowing that everything we do has a purpose and will all fall into place. I believe that to be the foundation of any excellent individual, any successful individual. And when I say successful, I don't mean material success. Yes, the medals, the house, the cars, the sponsorship deals, all are important to an athlete. But what we must always remember is that we are an individual before we are athletes. We are a person first. Being an athlete is only a fraction of who you are. It is what you are during training and during competition. And life happens even outside of the track and outside of the weight room. So it's important to also feed and nurture that part of you, mentally, emotionally, psychologically. And what do you do to feed that individual? You feed that individual with faith, kindness, hope, love, friendship, healthy friendship, and community. I'm only 27 years old, relatively short time spent on the earth here, I know. But what I've learned in that short space of time is that an individual who strives for excellence must be committed to their faith. That means staying grounded in the pursuit of your goal on the good days and the not so good days. So we all know injuries are a part of any sport, but staying committed to faith means when you get injured or you don't make the team, you allow yourself to feel sad, hurt, angry, annoyed, feel all the emotions you have to feel. But at the same time, picture yourself on the other side of that disappointment or setback and get back to work. We need to train our mind to pivot attention from all the negative emotions and focus on the positive things that are going on in our life. If I could give just an anecdote, in 2018, I was in Scotland in my third year of my law degree, and I was selected for Commonwealth Games. But because of an injury I had suffered earlier in the year, I had to decline my selection because I was unable to train, and I probably competed twice that year, if I believe. But I told myself after feeling all the emotions, I said, you know what? I have time to catch up on my studies because it was my third year, which was a difficult year. I told myself I had more time to socialize with my friends. I had more time to do the things I wouldn't normally do because my training schedule didn't allow it. That's how you train your mind. There's always some positive thing to latch onto in the midst of negativity, disappointment, or setbacks. And I give this example simply because despite those setbacks, I still came out on the other side. I still had a track and field season afterwards, after the injuries, after the bad performances, and you always come back stronger. The goal is to commit to faith, not the goal itself. You build character when you commit to faith. You build discipline, resilience, consistency, courage, and patience. Committing to faith will have you smiling through disappointments and people asking how he's so happy even though that disappointment just happened. You know, most of you here today are young. Well, most of the athletes, I would say. Sorry. Most of you here are young. But in a few years, you'll be off to university, locally or abroad. And what will sustain you is not just being the best athlete you can. What will sustain you is being an excellent individual who can be patient and calm during any defeat. I believe that because of this age of social media, we are losing our foundation of love as individuals. So tonight, I ask everyone here, ground your actions in love. As simple as it sounds, you must never underestimate the importance of having manners and being kind. There's an old saying that goes, manners will open doors that education will not. The simple action of saying good morning to someone in the street or when you enter a taxi or a maxi does more for you than you would think. Those type of actions show character. I ask you to remember that your actions speak louder than your words ever will. We sometimes deny our future selves opportunities because we underestimate the simple things in life, like being kind to someone or taking the initiative. Don't be quick to judge people. Don't be quick to follow the masses. Don't allow people to recruit you into hating someone for no reason. Be your own person and ground your actions in love. That may mean standing up for someone who is being picked on, talking to someone who no one wants to speak to. It also means calling out your friends for whatever reason. Committing to faith and action grounded in love will always equate to excellence. And the result, once you are willing to accept the challenge to live by those words, will be excellence, not just as an athlete, but also as an individual, which I believe is more important. It would have been foolish of me to stand here today and spend 10 minutes talking about how to be the best athlete. I think most of us in this audience today know how to be the best athlete or has an idea of it. What's more important is being an excellent individual, all-rounded. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank the entries and, by extension, the Ministry of Sport and Community Development and the Sports Company of Trinidad and Tobago, because their commitment to excellence in action is evidenced by many workshops and functions that they hold throughout the year. So those functions and workshops dealing with sports psychology, which is an important part of being an athlete. Special shout out to Amanda and the team at Sports TT for their work. Workshops dealing with nutrition, injury prevention. Special shout out again to Dr. Gopi Singh and doctors like Mr. Ali, and therapists like Akila and Nicole and Mr. Bonas. They also hold workshops dealing with media training, which is an important part of being an athlete. And I remember there was a workshop on choosing the right university, which most athletes fail to realize, or they don't think long-term in choosing the university and choosing the program that they want to study. And I believe that's an important part because it affects you later on in life, because there's always life after track and field. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank publicly the coaches and all the clubs locally in Trinidad and Tobago and the administrative staff. I see administrative staff today who, when I was a junior athlete, when I was shorter than this stand, I grew up with, you know? And even when I went away to the UK to study, I was still in contact with some of them. Even though some of the coaches never coached me, they would still reach out to me and things like that. That's the type of community we need in the sport, and that's the type of community that doesn't just build excellent individual athletes, but also excellent individuals. And sometimes we take for granted the people closest to us. But I'd like to take this opportunity to thank coaches like, I see Ms. Akwe in the audience. I see Akila, this physiotherapist. I had an injury with my shoulder the other day, and I went back to her. And even my coach, Mr. Wendell Williams. I coach, second dad, mentor, and Miss Stout, Miss Penny, Davina, Mr. Voze, Paul, who else I'm seeing in the audience? Kwame. Even though Kwame is in the media, I grew up Kwame doing articles. I mean, even when I was in the UK, Kwame used to reach out to check in how I was doing with my performances and things like that in order to highlight in the local papers. And those people who I didn't mention tonight, I apologize because I probably have a little stage fright, but I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And I say these people's names because it's important to say names because it's an indication that you didn't arrive where you are by yourself. You had help and you had guidance, which is an important part. I appreciate and I love the fact that there's been a greater shift in developing not just great athletes, but also excellent individuals in the last couple of years. And I think the entry is Ministry of Sport and Community Development, and by extension, the sports company deserves a round of applause for focusing on those things. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you remember my words today, and in closing, I ask you to do one thing for me. Think of a quote or a Bible verse that speaks to you, and let that guide you moving forward in your commitment to excellence, and challenging yourself to live by it every day. My personal favorite Bible verse is Matthew chapter 11, verse 6. It goes, "Blessed is he who is not offended in me." Blessed is he who is not offended in me. And for me, that means when things go wrong, if I didn't make the team, if I didn't get the job, if I didn't make partner or whatever, I may be disappointed, but I understand that opportunity wasn't for me. There's a better opportunity coming, and I just need to be patient. And what's for me cannot past me. So I ask you today to think about it and choose one that resonates with you. I'd like to thank the entries again for this opportunity to be a keynote speaker. So when Mr. Voser had reached out to me to ask me if to pitch the idea to me, he said it would have been held in the Radisson, fancy ballroom, all that kind of vibes. And he was like, it's a big room, and they're looking for somebody tall. So I was like, you should ask Wendell Williams. But then he was like, nah, he too tall. So then they chose me. So that's why I'm here today, ladies and gentlemen, and I thank you. Have a good day.
Come on, show some love to our featured speaker, Mr. Che Richards. Come on, let's give him some love.